any way, shape, or form. It's our honor.
Mr. President, how long of a delay is acceptable, sir, on the hearings for Judge Kavanaugh? There's some discussion that the accuser may not be coming in on Monday. How long of a delay?
I think it's a great question, frankly. We are looking to get this done as quickly as possible. He is a truly outstanding person, as you know. He's got an unblemished record. This is a terrible thing that took place, and it's frankly a terrible thing that this information wasn't given to us a long time ago, months ago, when they got it. They could have done that instead of waiting till everything was finished and then all of a sudden spring it. But that's what the Democrats do. That's what they do. It's obstruction, it's resist, it's whatever you have to do. With all of that being said, it's a process, and we all feel, speaking for all of the Republicans, we feel that we want to go through this process and we want to give everybody a chance to say what they have to say. So we have time available. We will delay the process until it's finished out. I guess we've invited everybody. I can tell you this, that Judge Kavanaugh is anxious to do it. I don't know about the other party, but Judge Kavanaugh is very anxious to do it. And a delay is certainly acceptable. We want to get to the bottom of everything. We want everybody to be able to speak up and to speak out. The fact is, though, this should have been done a long time ago. And when Senator Feinstein had Judge Kavanaugh in her office for a long time, she never even mentioned this. And that was a long time ago. Never even mentioned it. So why wouldn't you bring this up when he is sitting in her office for a pretty extended period of time? So it's unfortunate. He is an incredible man. He's an incredible intellect. He will make an incredible Supreme Court justice, but we feel that we want to go through a process. We want to hear both sides.
Will you ask the FBI to open its file, sir? Sir, will you ask the FBI to open its file?
How important is
I don't think the FBI really should be involved because they don't want to be involved. If they wanted to be, I would certainly do that. But as you know, they say this is not really their thing. But I think politically speaking, the senators will do a very good job. They really will. They're going to open it up, and they will do a very good job.
Do you believe this is all politics, sir?
How important is it to you, security of Poland?
Oh, very important. Security of Poland, to me, almost as important as it is to this man. I can't say as,
For
but
me, it's the most
almost.
important, and I hope that we will build Fort Trump in Poland together,
That's right.
Mr. President.
You know what? It's very important to me. Extremely important. They're very special people. It's a very special country. It's a very brave country. I think one of my best moments was making that speech in Poland. People liked me, and I liked them. They're very, very exceptional people. The security of Poland is very important to me, and it's very important to our country.
Mr. President, are you willing to declassify other items regarding the Russia investigation?
Well, we're going to see. We want transparency. What I want is total transparency. This is a witch hunt. Republicans are seeing it. The Democrats know it's a witch hunt, too, but they don't want to admit it because that's not good politics for them. But it's a terrible witch hunt, and it's hurt our country. And the things that have been found over the last couple of weeks about text messages back and forth are a disgrace to our nation. And I want transparency, and so does everybody else. As you know, congressional committees came to me, and they wanted this, and I did it based on their request. But I think it's a good thing because we should open it up for people to see. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
Press, let's go, make your way out.
Is this
Press,
all politics,
let's
sir?
go, make your way out.
Thank you, we're done.
Thank you very much.
Press, let's go, keep moving, let's go, let's
talked to
go.
Judge Kavanaugh?
Press, let's go, make your way out.
Why not?
Specifically, I haven't wanted to. I think it's something that he will do very well. I think specifically, I haven't wanted to speak to Judge Kavanaugh because I knew somebody would ask me the same question that you asked me. Have you spoken to Judge Kavanaugh? So specifically, I thought it would be a good thing not to. He can handle himself better than anybody. He's a very outstanding man. Thank you.
So you still
Thank you.
He knows you supported him.
Oh, I'm totally supportive. Yes, I'm very supportive. He's I would say few people that I've ever seen, that I've ever known, and I know people of great success, have been so outstanding as Judge Kavanaugh.
Is this all politics?
I don't want to say that. Maybe I'll say that in a couple of days, but not now. Thank you very much, everybody.
Keep moving, let's go. Come on, make your way out, we're finished. Let's go, make your way out, we're finished. Keep moving, let's go.
President of the United States in the Oval Office there trademarked Trump with one glaring exception. Trademark in the sense of witch hunt, using the term about the Mueller investigation. Trademark in the sense of they loved me. President talking about his big speech in Poland to a big crowd in public and how much he loved the applause in the big crowd there. Completely out of character. Again, for the second day in a row, very measured President of the United States when asked about Judge Kavanaugh, criticizing the Democrats, saying this should have all been brought forward a long time ago. A few partisan thumps at the Democrats, but respectful when it comes to let's have a process, let's let everyone tell their story, then we will move on from there. Our senior White House correspondent, Jeff Zeleny, is outside the White House for us. Jeff, it is remarkable that this president, known for saying if we're under attack, fight back, has decided to take a much more measured, cautious approach here.
John, no question about it. And I was the reporter in there, the pool reporter, asking those questions. And frankly, I wasn't sure what the president, how he was going to answer it today. You're right. He did ratchet up his criticism of the Democrats just a little bit, calling them obstructionists, specifically singling out Senator Feinstein, wondering why this didn't happen. But he did not go there. At the very end, I don't know if you could hear it when some of the aides were hollering there, but I asked him if he believes this is all politics. And he paused a moment and he said, I'm not going to go there. Ask me in a couple days. So we know by talking to our reporter or our sources inside this building that the president is frustrated by this. But he also believes that the way to handle this, hearing a lot of feedback from Senate Republicans, frankly, is to keep his powder dry and not to inflame any of this. But interestingly, I also asked him if he'd spoken to Judge Kavanaugh. Judge Kavanaugh was in the West Wing, just one floor above the Oval Office, for 9 hours yesterday. The president said he has not spoken to him, and he said one of the reasons he has not, because he knew he'd be asked that question, but he said, he knows that he has his support there. So, John, we'll see how long this measured approach lasts, but there is a sense here that this is a moment. If the hearing doesn't happen on Monday, that it's not Judge Kavanaugh's fault. He said Judge Kavanaugh wants to go ahead right now. We know the president's history on accusers and things like this, but John, he was certainly not saying any of that today. And I should say as well, the First Lady Melania Trump was looking at him a couple times as he was answering these questions. Very measured, very disciplined today, John.
Jeff Zeleny at the White House. Good questions. And again, fascinating, the president's response. Hasn't spoken to Judge Kavanaugh. Ask me later when it comes to the politics. But this is a president whose own standing with American women is in the tank, if you look at his approval numbers and things like that. Plus, again, the four key Republican senators, Flake, Corker, Murkowski, Collins, no fans of this president and how he conducts his business. So it is a smart approach for the president, and perhaps a surprise just because in so many other past fights, maybe quiet for a day or two, but then not.
It's strategic, it's by the book, which is uncharacteristic. And, in his defense, historically speaking, more times than not, he feels that he has been successful by being the opposite of by the book, by doing things his own way. But it's not the case now. However, he was self-aware enough to say, this might not last very long. I mean, reading between the lines, ask me in a couple days, I might go back to being my true self.
And to the idea that to Jeff's point, Brett Kavanaugh's there today. He was there for more than 9 hours yesterday. The president says he has not asked him about this. This is an incredible, consequential pick for the president. In the short term, for the politics of the short term, he's already underwater in the polls. He's heading into a tough midterm climate. 10, 20, 30 years from now, we will be talking about the Trump appointees to the Supreme Court, Neil Gorsuch being one. Judge Kavanaugh's for the Anthony Kennedy seat. This could be the most consequential piece of the Trump presidency 20 or 30 years from now. He says he hasn't. Wouldn't you want to look this? What's the calculation of, I don't want to get involved in this because I'll get asked about it, or this is the most important thing in my life right now. I want to look this guy in the eye and ask him, are we good?
I think, it's not only interesting that the president hasn't attacked the accuser like he's done in the past, but the fact that he's completely sort of removed himself from the process, not talking to Kavanaugh, obviously one of the ways that he's removed himself, but also just kind of repeating the same talking points and really leaving it up to the process, as he said today and yesterday. The president doesn't usually say, even use the word process, and he seems to be just kind of removing himself from things and saying, I'll let the process go on as it should, and let the Hill do what they need, what everyone there needs to do, which is very different from how he's operated, obviously, in the past.
Well, and think about what the next question would be. If he had said that he had talked to Kavanaugh, right? The next question is, well, what did he say? Tell us did he deny it?
Do you believe him?
Do you believe him? Do you believe her? This way, he's able to fall back on the process questions and sort of deflect the obvious follow-ups. And you know, as long as he's going to have a press conference later today. He'll be asked these questions again, and he'll be able to fall back on the same.
Which again
same lines.
is textbook, but
Which
not
is-
Trumpian.
Right. Totally.
Right. And to the question of the process, as we've been on the air and as we've been listening to the president, waiting for the president, Senator Dianne Feinstein, who's the ranking Democrat on the Judiciary Committee, the president was just harshly critical of her, saying, you got this information in July, why are we learning about it in September? Senator Feinstein would say, because she promised confidentiality to Professor Ford, and it's difficult. This is something that happened to Professor Ford, she alleges, when she was 15 years old. Her privacy rights should be considered, but Republicans do raise questions about the timing. You heard the president do it there. She says the Senate Judiciary Committee should allow the FBI to conduct a full investigation before we hold any hearings on the allegations Dr. Ford has made against Brett Kavanaugh. Holding a hearing without any investigation signals no interest in getting to the bottom of this. The president could make that happen. He was just asked, and he said he did not think so. He said this isn't the FBI's thing. This is the FBI's thing. This is exactly what the FBI does. It conducts the background investigations for sensitive picks, but it is not the FBI's job to reopen them.
That's right.
The question is the president would have to say, do it.
This does not automatically trigger FBI action is the point here. I think that's what he meant when he said this is not the FBI's thing. Right. That's right. They would typically add this to the background file and submit the updated background file to the White House, and then it's up to the president, or I guess the White House counsel, to direct them to reopen it.
And with that answer from the president, as we speak, 12:58:48 on this day in Washington, this is a developing story. I don't say that to be a snark. Things change. Things have changed so much throughout this that at this moment the president says no. What happens?
And let's be clear, this is only at the last minute, which is what the president said, because the timeline that the Republicans have put in place to consider this nomination is incredibly compressed. And there's nowhere that says that it had to be. They could have established a much longer process. And so that's the argument the Democrats are going to make, is that this can go. There's no reason this has to happen, Monday or the following Monday, and there should be time to do this investigation. That's the Democrats' argument.